All right, welcome to FoodChain. My name is Becca Self. I am the director and founder of FoodChain, and I'm very excited to be able to show you guys FoodChain today and to be able to give you a little bit of background about it. We are now in our 8th year at FoodChain. We started all the way back in the fall of 2011. FoodChain was founded, and we were founded as a nonprofit with the mission of trying to forge links between our community and fresh food. This is a really big umbrella mission, and to begin to tackle that, we knew we were going to focus on education and demonstration, but we chose to go about it by following the steps of a food system. So we're here today inside of the first phase of FoodChain, which is our farm. So you can't have any connection to fresh food if someone doesn't grow it. So that's what we began with. So, which meant that we weren't going to have a traditional farm, so we had to choose to do an unusual kind of cultivation, which is aquaponics. So we are still the only commercially scaled indoor aquaponics farm of its kind here in the state of Kentucky. We have been operating our farm now for 6 years, and it's got 7,000 gallons of water recirculating in it. So there's two different halves to our aquaponics system. Over here is the fish side. So aquaponics involves aquaculture, which is fish farming, as well as hydroponics, growing plants without using soil. But in an aquaponics system, we're able to utilize that fish waste as the fertilizer for our plants. So we feed our fish up here in these tanks. We have 6 tanks total, and we have about 500 tilapia in the system at any one point in time. They're raised up high so that gravity does the work for us, and all of that fish waste drains down, and before it fertilizes our plants, it actually goes through our filtration system here in the center. One of the main components of that filtration system then is the bacteria that convert that ammonia, which is fish waste. They convert it naturally then into nitrate, and nitrate is plant fertilizer. So the other half of the system is our hydroponic part of the aquaponic system. That means all of our plants are growing without any soil. So instead of getting their nutrition from soil, they need to get it in some other form, which we get by way of the fish waste, which has been converted into plant food by way of those bacteria. So all of these plants are floating directly on top of that nutrient-rich water. It means we have nothing to hold those plants there. They're low down, again, because gravity is going to carry all that nutrient-rich water down. And that means that the roots of the plant are dangling right down into that water, which means the plants feed and water themselves. So again, from a labor standpoint, it's even more efficient because the plants do most of the work to tend to themselves. Of the plants that we grow here, we grow all leafy things. So those grow faster, they take less time to grow, and they require less light. So for that matter, we grow things that can be eaten in the leafy stage. That means we grow a lot of lettuces, a lot of dark leafy greens, a lot of microgreens, and some herbs. So to complete this cycle then, all of that nutrient-rich water is flowing down underneath those plants. Those roots are taking up that water or those nutrients from the water, which then essentially leaves behind clean water. So the water is going to wick all the way down through the plant beds. It's going to go down one bed and then come back down the other bed. And by the time it's run underneath 2 complete beds of plants, most of that nutrition has been stripped out of the water, which means we're left with clean water. The clean water then falls into the lowest point of the system, and there in that bottom pit, which is the lowest point of FoodChain, there is the one and only pump that the system relies on. So this is what we refer to as phase 1 of FoodChain. Gratefully, over the last 2 years, we've been able to expand. Now we have a teaching kitchen and a processing kitchen, and eventually we hope to have a neighborhood green grocery store. But this is where it all began, and this is what continues to create the starting point of FoodChain's operation.